Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Allincrypto here, and today we have some breaking news to share with you. We know that right now there is a tyrannical crusade launched by the SEC against the cryptocurrency market, and as of today, the only cryptocurrency that has been deemed a non-security is Bitcoin, and we are still going through the motions of actually having this asset class be allowed to become one. Certainly in the likes of the United States, we know we have a lot more regulatory clarity elsewhere. Now, today we had the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, feature on, I think it was CNBC. We're going to be diving over to that interview, and we're going to be playing a couple of clips from it in regards to where he was asked, is Ethereum a security, and are we going to have an Ethereum ETF? We're going to be playing those clips. This is not even an hour old. And then we're going to be diving over to why I believe technically we are going to see an Ethereum ETF. And I think the ETH BTC chart is signaling that. And the ETH dominance chart is seeing that. We're expecting big moves for Ethereum against Bitcoin and in regards to the percentage of the overall cryptocurrency market that it is. And I think that comes on the back end of regulatory news, i.e. getting over this hump of is Ethereum a security? Are we going to have an Ethereum ETF? And then to really wrap the video off or up, we did have Tom Emmer, who is the Congress member for, I think, Minnesota, potentially District 6th, whatever that is. He came out and actually really went after and gave a speech in regards to the SEC and their oversight of the cryptocurrency space and Gary Gensler himself. So this is a jam-packed video, absolutely not one to miss. Without further ado, guys, let's dive into Gary Gensler's appearance on CNBC.
The big question in crypto land right now, is Ethereum a commodity or is Ethereum a security? And therefore, will there one day be an ETF? That's the fundamental question on the table in crypto land. You agree?
Oh, you're the one that's out there asking the questions. All I would say is, to me, the fundamental question is how do we ensure that the American investor is protected? And right now, they're not getting the required or needed disclosures. And the intermediaries in the center of this rather centralized market generally are conflicted and doing things we would never allow the New York Stock Exchange to do. And even
but ultimately, should investors,
congressional hearing.
There's a lot of folks who bought Ethereum expecting that one day there will be potentially an ETF and that it will be considered a genuine security that's tradable on these exchanges. Will that happen?
Again, that's something in front of our commission right now. We're a 5-member commission, and those filings will take up at the appropriate time.
So we are as in the dark as we were going into his appearance. He was asked blatantly, is Ethereum a security? To which he completely avoided the question. And then he was asked, are we going to have an Ethereum ETF? And I can understand why he dodged that one a little bit, because it is still something that we're reviewing, but he gave no oversight whatsoever in regards to that. I mean, at this point, certainly given Gary Gensler's background coming from MIT, teaching literally blockchain technology, he should be able to answer the question. He has previously stated that he doesn't think Ethereum is a security, and many cryptocurrencies aren't securities. He's spoken about Algorand and his good friend Silvio McCarley. You know, it's just a real frustrating time for the cryptocurrency space, but I do think this is a regulatory hurdle that we are going to get over. And I want to show you guys, as a technical analyzer, why it is I believe we are going to have an Ethereum ETF. And I actually think we're not just going to get an Ethereum ETF, we're going to get an Ethereum BTC, some more of the kind of blue chip altcoin ETFs as well. We're going to end up with indexes and all sorts. So I want to pull up very quickly why technically I believe you're going to get an Ethereum ETF, and it's to do with the ETH BTC chart. Now, I believe this is a pattern that has been setting up since 2017 that is going to see Ethereum gain some significant ground against Bitcoin. An interesting thing in regards to Ethereum, if you look at the Hong Kong Dong, is what I've been calling it, the Hong Kong ETFs over in Hong Kong, you've basically seen an Ethereum ETF and a BTC ETF. Now, Ethereum has accounted for about a fifth, or depending on what day, certainly on the opening day, it was about a third of all the volume went into Ethereum ETFs. We are going to see, and that gives me a clear signal that there's an institutional demand for Ethereum. Ethereum's a smaller, law of small numbers. Basically, I think you're going to see Ethereum really excel when you do get that ETF. And I think technically this is what we're looking at in regards to the ETH BTC chart. And also, I also think we've got technical merit for ETH dominance to gain ground against the cryptocurrency space and actually move up. It's currently about 16% towards the 30% of the overall space. This is likely going to be on the back end. What we're technically looking at is likely going to be on the back end of something fundamental, i.e. An Ethereum ETF being approved. And there's good and bad news in regards to what Gary Gensler said. He basically said, He's not willing to say anything. And the good news is he hasn't said no. The bad news is he hasn't said yes in regards to an ETF, and he hasn't classified Ethereum as security. And he also hasn't classed it as one. So also, interestingly, if you look at the fact that he's allowed for Ethereum futures ETFs, he didn't classify them as SFP. So typically when you have commodity futures, they're or security futures, they're classed as FSPs, not commodity futures, sorry. Whereas commodity futures aren't. So he hasn't classed Ethereum as an SFP, which stands for obviously a security future product. So it's my personal assessment that Ethereum isn't going to be classified as a security. Then that's going to give broader credence to the rest of the cryptocurrency market. That's when you're going to see a real alt season begin. To finish things off now, guys, a bit of a different video to what we usually do on an evening. But to finish things off, what I want to do is actually now play you guys a clip of Tom Emery, another congressman. You know, we know there's McHenry and people like that that are very against the SEC, actually talking about the SEC, what they're doing, and their kind of unfair treatment of the cryptocurrency space. So we do have people in our corner.
Chairman Gary Gensler's tenure at the SEC has been characterized by regulatory hypocrisy, inconsistency, and incompetence. The Securities and Exchange Commission's Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, commonly known as SAB 121, is just one example of Chair Gensler's egregious attempts to expand the SEC's authority and his clear bias toward the digital asset ecosystem. More than 2 years ago, the SEC disguised this illegal rule as guidance, circumventing Congress and public input so they could prevent banks from safeguarding consumer-owned digital assets. However, this rule isn't just overreaching and illegal. It violates the SEC's statutory mission. First, SAB 121 introduces more unnecessary and avoidable concentration risk into the digital asset ecosystem, making our markets less fair, less orderly, and less efficient. Second, it weakens investor protections by barring Americans from using the established banking infrastructure to custody their digital assets, which leaves Americans' assets more vulnerable if a custodian becomes insolvent. And third, this rule hampers capital formation and global competitiveness, as foreign banks already have the ability to compete in crypto markets while our banks cannot. The SEC's statutory mission is to protect investors, facilitate capital formation, and maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets. Chairman Gensler is violating all three of these with his illegal SAB 121 rule. Later this week, House Republicans, we're going to do our job to provide oversight and accountability to the SEC by passing Congressman Mike Flood's resolution so that this illegal and harmful rule ceases to be in effect. I hope that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle will join us as we work to ensure the digital asset ecosystem can thrive right here in the United States.
So there you have Tom Emery. I believe Minnesota is the district that he is a congressman for, and you know, we do have people in our corner. So I wish I could say that Gary Gensler came out and said Ethereum is not a security, but I think really with the SEC, if you look at them as an organization, the more things they have jurisdiction over, the more funding they get awarded. And I really think this whole thing is just about a power grab. Won't it be classified as a security? The SEC have played their hand and said, let's try and grab as much as possible so that we can get the funding for the agency and all the benefits that come with that. So that is really it from me. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on this whole thing in the comment section. I do agree with Tom Emery and McHenry that the SEC, and they've already been caught out a number of times in regards to, in some cases, lying when it comes to the cryptocurrency industry. Certainly, we saw that with the debt box case. I do believe they're treating crypto very unfairly. I think there could be a whole list of reasons that we can't prove behind the scenes. Are they getting backhanders or jobs that they're going to be going into after this lined up for them as a result of doing what they're doing to crypto by potentially the banking system, whatever it may be. I can't prove any of that, but it's a very unfair treatment. It's a very nonsensical treatment as well. The only sense that you can really derive from it is that there's alternative motives here. And of course, the conclusion that I think all this is going to come to is that we are going to get cryptos classified, certainly most of them, the main ones, as non-securities. I'm sure some probably are. But that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Have a wonderful Tuesday.